Hello, everyone. My name is Katie of the Greenland Quilter, and I hope everybody's been having a great day. Today, we're going to do a podcast with Shannon of Sleigh Arts, and we're going to be talking to her and asking her lots of questions and delving into her life a little bit. And I hope everybody enjoys this podcast. And remember, if you have questions that you would like to ask Shannon, post them in the chat, and we'll be there to answer them. So let's go ahead and get started. Hi, Shannon. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself so we can start this up?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Shannon. I also have a YouTube channel called Sleigh Arts. So I get to dabble in doing YouTube like Katie does. I started quilting during the pandemic. So September of 2020 was when I started my very first quilt, which was done in fleece on a cheaper model of sewing machine and was very difficult. So I started off difficult and everything started getting easier from there. I've been sewing for almost 5 years now. I had not really sewn before. I had taken a home ec class in like high school. And I kind of started my creative journey. I went to culinary school, so I was a chef for a while, and that's where I really was creative, was in the kitchen. And then started a family and didn't want to be working those crazy 80-hour weeks anymore. So got out of the kitchen and doing just regular like 9 to 5 office work now. So this quilting journey, especially FPP, foundation paper piecing, is really where I'm most comfortable. This has been my creative outlet now that I'm not in a kitchen anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
So who influenced you to learn how to sew?
Well, I like many of us during COVID, I was scrolling on TikTok and found a quilter. Her name was her channel is Sam Rhymes with Ham. She's a elementary school librarian. I don't think they call them librarians anymore, media support specialist. But she was working on a fleece quilt called a Quillo, and I watched her whole journey, and I thought, oh, I could totally do this. And so that's where that all started, watching her complete hers. And then, once you start, you go down the rabbit hole, and I learned all about, Donna Jordan, Missouri Star, fabric, Fat Quarter Shop, all of that. Like, so it didn't take very long for me to find a bunch of people to listen to and look up to and learn all the different kinds of techniques and everything, and I'm a gadget gal. So anytime somebody talks about a gadget and shows it on their channel, I want to try it too. So I was very quickly spending a lot of time and money on this new hobby of mine.
Um, you mentioned that you started sewing back in 2020. Um, you said that it was a fleece blanket. Um, has your quilting evolved a lot since you started doing that?
Yes, the quilting itself has evolved. That was very much, it was just 10-inch squares being sewn together, snit into a rag quilt, but it had a pillow pocket where it all got folded into it. I decided those were not going to be my wheelhouse. That was no fun to work with. So I started doing traditional quilting from there. I got into like the designer month block of the month from Fat Quarter Shop. I did that for a little bit. Then and I discovered, and you know her as well, Yvette of Yvette Renee Creations. Started watching her doing FPP and thought, oh, that's a lot of fun. Look at how precise that is and the weird shapes that you can create. So then I really started focusing on FPP as kind of being like what I really was doing for the most part. But I love making bags now. I've written my own bag patterns. There's really not a sewy type thing that I won't try out. I've made a bunch of like fun things, made placemats for my stepmom for Christmas. Definitely done other people's bags. I made a spam duffel bag out of spam fabric. So yeah, there's nothing that I won't give a try. I'm even doing English paper piecing right now. So I'm diving into hand sewing projects, which I never thought I would do. So yeah.
Okay. What are your favorite genres of fabric?
Genre of fabric. Oh. So I would definitely consider myself a modern quilter. So I definitely love bright solids or fabrics that have some texture to them, like grunges or Stonehenge, that kind of thing. But they read solid from far away, but they
Mhm.
give the fabric a little bit more texture as you get closer. I like those kinds of fabrics. I'm not really one for patterned or Civil War,
Yeah.
unless it's from a kit and I'm supporting a friend who's
Yeah.
created something and they're using it. I just don't. If I'm going to do it for myself, I don't gravitate to those fabrics.
Okay. Do you have a favorite designer of fabric? And also, do you have a favorite designer of quilt patterns?
So fabric. I love Dan Morris. Dan Morris does really fun digital prints, which I think are a lot of fun, and use a lot of color. And in the way that I think CAFE is like this, where if you're doing it with FPP, you're cutting things down so they don't have to be quite as in your face. So you're using the bright colors, but they don't have to, be so huge. So I really like Dan Morris. I really love for the muted kind of colors. Poppy cottons are always really pretty. Uh, yeah, there's not anything that I wouldn't, any fabric that I wouldn't give a go for though. And
Okay.
then for the patterns, I was one of the original certified instructors for legit kits. So for a while there, everything was legit kits. I was very much
Yeah.
needing to get those ready. And then quickly realized in doing that the pattern, like building the pattern, was my favorite thing. So then I started creating my own patterns, and now I'm working to be like a really great pattern writer. So that's the goal.
You mentioned that you were creating traditional quilts to start with, but
Hmm.
at the same time, a few minutes ago, you just said that you're more into modern too.
Hmm.
So, with your creativity on making quilts, are you leaning toward modern more often, or are you like in the middle between the two types of making quilts?
I would definitely say that I'm not in the middle. I am definitely modern leaning. Uh, the majority of what I do is modern.
Okay.
But again, through being on YouTube, and I've gotten to meet so many people, and I get to watch so many people and learn of new pattern writers and new fabrics. If there are folks out there that I'm excited to support, I will give a go for any. So if it's a traditional piecing with more traditional style fabrics, it to support a friend, I'm on board.
Okay. As a quilter, is there anything you learned that you wish someone would have told you in the beginning?
Yes. I My biggest thing, and I talk about it kind of ad nauseum on my channel, and anytime that I'm teaching at a retreat, either face to face or virtual, I just I want people to realize that you can start with what you have. When I started, I had a very cheap, just Walmart $30, $40, I don't even remember how much it was. Little sewing
Okay.
machine. I'd had a Cricut at home, so I used the Cricut rotary cutter. I used the Cricut cutting mat. I didn't even have a real like ironing setup at all.
Yeah.
So I was using scissors because that's what I had. If I wasn't using the rotary cutter, I didn't have the best thread. I didn't have the fancy gadgets. But when you're learning and you're trying it all out and you're just starting and you're not even sure if you're gonna like this new technique or whatever, I just think being able to start with what you have and not putting in a ton of money until you understand what parts of the thing that you like. So as I kept getting into fabric, foundation paper piecing, everybody's like, oh, you have to have all of the add a quarter rulers and you have to have all
Yeah.
of this. I never, and I predominantly do FPP, and I never reach for my add a quarter rulers because I have the other rulers are just here on my table all the time from cutting fabric and from getting things ready. So I just never have the add a quarters out.
Yeah.
And that's fine because every ruler has a 1/4 inch on it. You don't have to have the gadget to be able to do the same things. You don't have to have anything that has a specialized template, like acrylic ruler that you have to get specifically for this is just not for me unless like many of my friends have done it and are like, oh, you need this. I just stay away
Yeah.
from it. It's so expensive already
Yep.
to just
And it's so
add.
easy to get sucked into it.
Yes.
So
And I think a fun way, if you're if you're near one, a fun way to go and try out all the things, if you don't have a local quilt store, which I know more and more of us are
don't.
losing
Yep.
our quilt stores or just never have had them. But if there might be a show where they're going to have vendors and then you
Yep.
can go try things out, then you can
Yeah.
start getting a feel of what you might like.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me about what you envisioned in the beginning of quilt creating and how has it evolved over time?
So what I envisioned at the beginning was just having something to do. I was bored out of my mind. My job had been going into the office 3 days a week, and then of course COVID hit, and nobody was going into the office. So I just felt like I was just in my house with all of this time and not really having anything happening. So it was really to keep myself out of trouble. Keep myself off the streets and keep myself out of trouble.
Yeah.
And that was really it. That's all I wanted to try all the different techniques and thought that was really cool. Then started becoming friendly with people that were on YouTube, went to my first retreat, met a couple of YouTubers, was like, oh, that's kind of cool, like doing YouTube. And I was working on legit kits and I thought, oh, well, I'll start videoing, me working on the legit kits and I'll just put it up on a YouTube channel. And never had any intention of showing my face or having lives or doing anything other than, every once in a while showing a
Yeah.
section of a pattern that I was doing. And then that quickly changed. And then I was doing lives, and then I was teaching at retreats, face-to-face retreats and virtual retreats. And now I have, a membership plan. Oh, that sounds very sales pitchy. Sorry, but don't worry about it. but it's just, that's like the next kind of
Yeah.
evolution is, now I'm doing things for the people on my YouTube channel to be a part of and have something, a little different than just the lives or the videos that I'm doing. So it's fun because it never stops changing. Like there's
Yeah.
something new all the time. So
It's
it's been,
constantly evolving.
yeah, constantly. Yeah. And it's so much fun. So
I think with the evolution of this process, it helps keep us interested also, I think. Because I think if it stayed the same where you weren't experiencing any personal growth, I think you would get bored with it and quit.
oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I'm always looking for the next really challenging project,
Yeah.
or challenging myself within the skills that I'm trying to do. Last year I was very much, I wanted to get really good at precise cutting of fabric, making sure I
Mhm.
was really cutting and really sewing at a 1/4 inch, where for traditional piecing, I was kind of loosey-goosey about that. I was more like, it'll all
Yeah.
work. It's fine. But, I really wanted to focus on that, really get my 1/4 inch, really precise the cutting of the fabric to the right size, and precisely sewing it so that the piecing got better, so that my traditional piecing was coming up to the level of what foundation piecing does, because you don't have to be as
Yeah.
it in foundation piecing you get the intricacy, but that's because you're kind of like you're building onto it and trimming down. Nobody needs to look at the backside of a foundation paper piece thing
No.
and see how crazy it looks on the backside. But yeah, so yeah, just
That's
always
great.
new things to learn and tweak and work on.
Okay, that sounds great. So, the next, I'm going to be asking you 3 different questions, so it's going to be like a progression.
Cool.
Why, I know why you started making quilts in the beginning, you said that, but why do you make quilts now?
Kind of the same, still to keep myself, you know, involved in something. It is the community that we have here within the quilting world, getting to go to retreats, getting to meet all of the new folks that have been getting into quilting, the folks that have been doing quilting forever. Uh, there's just I have always been somebody who will dabble a little bit. Like, I did some digital art and I did some acrylic painting or some watercolor painting, but never really stuck to any one thing.
Yeah.
But the quilting has really, because of all the different areas, has kept me excited about new things. There's always a new pattern, there's always new fabric, there's always someone new to watch and learn from. It keeps me excited about what's next.
Okay, so what do you like best about making a quilt?
Ooh. So specifically, if I'm making a foundation paper piecing quilt, I think my favorite part is when you finish a unit and you've kind of got like paper and fabric all over the place, but then you trim it to what it's supposed to be. It is so satisfying to see the image come together.
Hmm.
That's my favorite part for sure. And FPP, trimming them down and building them, and the finished image coming alive like right in front of your face is so exciting. It's so fun.
I know that I already know the answer, but I'm gonna ask it anyway in case someone missed it. What do you love doing the most? Do you love piecing, paper piecing, quilting, binding? Which one is the
Oh,
most favorite part of making a quilt that you love?
well, the binding is kind of, if I had to pick one piece out of the whole thing, binding is pretty satisfying because you're at the end, and then, even though I never wait, I'm really bad about waiting to start a new project, but I always feel like once it's bound, then you kind of have the you've given yourself permission to start whatever the next one is. So binding is kind of that's also very satisfying to
Yeah,
for the
me
life
too.
cycle of a quilt. Yeah.
Okay, now the next one's gonna be a little strange. What does making quilts give back to you?
Oh. Oh, I think that it has really helped me in confidence, in and really not being good at something when I started, and so confidence and resilience, just keeping at it and knowing that for each time I do it, it's going to be a little bit better than the last time, and that's exciting too. To watch and see my own progress, and give me the confidence to continue going. Because if I look, I had started cutting out the pieces for the exploding heart. That was a really
Mhm.
popular one when I started, and it was half square triangles and quarter triangle, like the quarter triangle thing.
Yeah.
And I've looked at it a few times over the past 5 years, and those pieces are so bad. They're so bad. And so to see where I started and how much confidence I've gained to just jump in and try everything is pretty cool. Like, to think, it's just it's thread and a sewing machine, and a lot of the time it's just you alone, and it's only you that you're trying to impress
Yeah.
for a lot of it. So yeah, the resilience and the confidence has been a really nice bonus.
Okay, what is your favorite type of quilt to make?
Uh, a gift. The type of quilt, something that I'm giving to somebody else. There's, and I've heard other people talk about it. It's not unique. I'm not special in this thought, but the thought of giving somebody something that I've put that much love and time and effort into, and giving them, and it's I don't so this is where I might differ from some people. I literally could not care less what they do with that quilt after I hand it to them.
Yeah.
I don't They could give it to their dog, they could give it to their neighbor. I don't care. The part that I love is creating it and handing it to them and feeling that joy of knowing that I did this for them. How they receive that, treat that, do with that as none of my business. I am there for the feeling of I accomplished it for this person I love. So
Yep.
yeah.
So, what comes first, fabric or a pattern?
Ooh. Oh gosh, it really depends. It really depends. Because I because I watch so many like things on YouTube, or I will go into the quilt stores. It's kind of equal of I'll find a pattern, I'm like, oh my gosh, and then I'll have the pattern and I'll be waiting for the perfect fabric,
Yeah.
or I'll find fabric that I've just got to have. And sometimes it takes a long time for me to decide that I'm willing to cut that fabric for any pattern. Like, it's got to be something
Know the
special.
feeling.
Yes,
Oh,
sometimes fabric is just for petting and it's never going to be touched.
I think with fabric too, when you're in relation to what you just said, I think, like I had a 5 yards of a particular batik, and it's beautiful, but I couldn't cut it because I didn't know
Yeah.
what I wanted to use. Suddenly I'm using it like mad right now, but I think sometimes it's like a little cycle of it's not talking to you, so you're not going to cut it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk to you to buy it because you
Yep.
love it, but then you go by and you're looking at, oh, maybe I could use that, and then you change your mind.
Yes. Yeah.
What is the hardest thing about creating a quilt from your perspective?
The hardest thing about creating a quilt. I think I'm the hardest thing about it. I'm such a critic of myself. I'm so hard on myself. I don't need anybody else to point out, oh, like, if there's a flaw or whatever. I am the hardest part. I am the hardest on myself.
You get in the way
Um,
of yourself.
I do. I second guess myself. I second guess my choices and fabric, and I doubt that I have any like, I'm always like, oh, I don't think I understand color theory. I don't think this, I'm just always second guessing myself and questioning and doubting. And yeah, so I get in my way a lot of creating that thing because I just feel like I'm not good enough, or I don't know enough yet still to do it.
Okay. How many quilts do you think you've made, and how many do you actually have?
I've made many.
Yeah, some of
I've
y'all are very prolific.
Yeah, I have many flimsies now. So it depends on what you consider a quilt. I have many flimsies.
Above.
I've got a lot of quilt tops, but I'm notoriously bad at finishing them because I have limited space. I have like the thought. I keep saying, "Oh, I'm going to turn." I called my Juki Arnie. It's a whole thing. I'm like, oh, I'm going to turn Arnie around and I'm going to make him, a free motion quilter. But then the thought of turning him and getting all this stuff out and then having to put it all back again just breaks my heart and hurts my head. So finishing them is not very good. But I definitely have, at least 50 flimsies rolling around in here. And those are the uncompleted ones, but everybody in my family has a completed project. So, or two. So, so that's another probably 20. So yeah, I've been busy. I'm not so good at completing.
I have 16 or 17 now.
Yeah.
And that's because first of all, I don't really know how to straight stitch quilt right now. And secondly, I think I'm going to send some of them off and let someone else do it.
Yeah.
Come out better.
I'm so excited. Next Sunday, I'm going and taking a long arm quilting class.
That would be wonderful.
That's going to be so fun. And then once you've taken the class, then you can rent time from that shop.
Oh, that's so cool.
Right? So I'm excited about that because
awesome.
I'll be able to finish some of these things that have been sitting around just waiting to come to life.
So is there anyone in your family that sews?
Not a one. My mom's mom, my grandmother was a knitter and she taught me and my sisters how to knit. So I've known how to knit since I was 7, but nobody was sewing. My mom says, I don't remember it because I was little, but she says that there was a time where she was making our clothes, but by the time I was old enough to remember what was happening, we didn't have a sewing machine anymore. There was no sewing going on. So yeah, nobody in the family sewed or quilted or anything.
How many sewing machines do you have?
Oh, so okay, so some back.
This is not any judgment. I'm just curious.
Yeah. So I have 7 and a serger.
Okay.
Which that's not really like a sewing machine. So it does a specific thing. But some of them I got because I was taking a class on learning how to clean and repair machines. Mm-hmm. So I would go to like the thrift shop and get a $20 machine, pull it apart and put it back together again, clean it out.
Idea.
Yeah, and it's so fun to see how it all works on the inside and clean it and put it together. And it actually worked out really well because now my sister is getting into sewing and sewing some clothes. So I had a machine to give her as a starter. My oldest kiddo is getting into sewing, and they're doing doll clothes. So that's even like smaller stuff. Tiny. And I had a machine to give them so they could start doing. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, I was very interested in the insides, the inner workings of how these machines work and still like haven't changed since really the beginning. Like there's computerized and all that kind of stuff, but the mechanical machines haven't changed. It's still the same, if it's a straight stitch or if it's a chaining one. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I have weird ones hanging around in different states of disrepair.
So out of curiosity, have you bought yourself a featherweight?
I do. I have a featherweight. Yes, I bought it from a friend of mine. She had a couple of them, so I bought one from her. It's a beauty. Her name is Lucille, after my grandmother, my dad's mom.
So, which sewing machine is your go-to sewing machine?
Here, I do everything on this Juki. It's a TL18, and so I make bags on this. Do all my quilting on this. And then I have another I'm a Juki girl. I loved Donna Jordan. I'm so sad that she has passed. But she was a Juki girl. So I was like, oh, I'm a Juki girl. And then if I wanted to get a long arm, I was always like, I have to get a gamma because Donna Jordan had a gamma. But
Those
I have,
families are fantastic,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
I
My
was lucky enough to
travel,
see some
oh,
old
sorry.
ones down. I was lucky enough to see some old ones down in one of the shops in Florida when we were doing the Florida shop hop, and I was totally amazed by them.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. That's the dream one of these days.
Yep.
But my
Uh,
travel machine's a Juki that I go to retreats and everything. So definitely a Juki girl. But yeah, this guy does everything.
how did you decide that you wanted to go through the Juki family?
Because of Donna Jordan.
Okay,
Yeah,
got.
literally because of Donna Jordan. She had them and I thought she was cool as heck. So I was like, okay.
What is your go-to thread?
Oh, so originally it was Aurifil, 50 weight. But when I got this, I bought this machine, the TL18 from Juki Junkies, and they send everything with Glide, 40 weight Glide. And so now that's what I've been using
Okay.
is Glide for everything. Uh I will sometimes, like the hand stitching that I'm doing, I'm working on the Queen of Diamonds with my friend Ingrid. I am using the is it Superior Threads 80 weight, really thin, to do the hand stitching. But if I'm just piecing any, and that's piecing FPP, that's piecing regular stitching, and that's piecing doing bags and everything. I just use Glide 40 for everything.
Okay. Do you have any other hobbies that you like to participate in?
I'm a part of an improv troupe. So we do not stand up, we do short games. So kind of like if you are familiar with Whose Line Is It Anyway? Those kinds of games, that's what we do. So that's my other weekly hobby.
Okay, so you mentioned starting your YouTube channel. When did you start your channel? What were your goals in the beginning, and how has that evolved over the time as well?
So I'm at 2.5 years now of YouTube. Started off again, I had no intention of ever showing my face, but people were like, oh, they don't want to just, or even talking. It was like literally just me working on FPP with some music, sometimes talking, but not really all that much. No intention of it being where I would be doing it twice a week regularly.
Yeah.
And so yeah, folks were like, oh, we want to see you. You should do lives. You should do, tutorials where you show people how to do stuff. So that's all come about. Doing lives. We'll have virtual retreats based on all the YouTube friends. Um, it's it's really grown and become like a real like little family, a little community of folks that'll come on. Some folks never talk in the chat, and that's completely okay because they're there and they're hanging out with us, and so they're getting to be a part of the community and the way that that works for them. Some folks will chat and ask everybody questions and will, provide their own best practices, things that they've discovered and are doing with whatever technique they're using or excited about at that time. So yeah, it's been a fun 2.5 years. It's been a lot of learning all the technology. Oh my gosh,
Oh,
that
I
was
know,
a
it's mind-boggling.
yeah, that was such a pain in the beginning. I could not figure out, like, I would schedule a live, but then like the Zoom wouldn't connect or my
Yes.
machine wouldn't connect. I was like, oh my word. Yeah. So this
Yeah,
is
I
a
had a
learning
crisis
curve.
this week. When I first started, you're probably like me, but I had a mentor, Sean from the Guy Who Sews, mentored me when I first started because was I was scrambling trying to learn and I kept making the same mistake, but I didn't know what the mistake was.
Yeah.
And he finally figured out what it was I was doing because I couldn't get because I left one little step out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I've gone through all this time and not having any problems. And then 2 days ago, Boom. In
Tech
my face.
technology is it's a double-edged sword.
You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, we need it, but we hate it. Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, so my next question has to do with YouTube. What do you love or like the most about YouTube, and what do you dislike about it?
Cool. So what I love most about having a YouTube channel is I have been able to make friends and meet friends from all over the world, all over the world, which is amazing. To uh to make the world even smaller and have that community on a channel for a couple hours a day is pretty amazing. The thing I dislike the most about YouTube is sometimes, and this could be a hot take, people might, I don't know, but sometimes it's a lot to have to like feel like, oh, I can't miss, like I was sick a couple weeks ago and I'm like, oh, like I'm missing a live, like I feel bad because I'm missing a live. and and for this to be just a hobby, to feel like that kind of sucks sometimes, like, oh, I'm tied down to it sometimes when I know I'm not, but that's just kind of like the pressure that you end up putting on yourself when you have a channel. So I think that part is the cruddy part. I've been really lucky where I haven't had like horrible comments, no really horrible people on my channel, knock on wood. I'm not inviting them, I don't want them. But that's been the part, the pressure I've put on myself to kind of always, be available to be on.
So, why don't you give us a couple of positive things that you think YouTube has given to you?
So the community for sure, being able to meet and work with all these people from all over the world. But having the YouTube channel has also afforded me opportunities to do things like become a certified instructor with legit kits. Having the channel definitely helped in that. It's made it so that people have wanted to do a virtual retreat or a face-to-face retreat because they can see me and determine, whether or not they like me or not before they've ever had to spend the money on coming out to learn from me. They can decide if they actually think I have anything to teach them in a free way, which is kind of nice. Um, yeah, but just another way to express my creativity, I think, is the best part about YouTube. Just being able to put it out there and have other people consume it is pretty cool. Not
Oh,
everybody gets that.
that's great. Okay, you've mentioned retreat more than once today. So I keep forgetting to ask people about this. So uh tell us what is involved in going to a retreat. That's the first thing. Tell us why a quilter should go to a retreat. And three, is there affordable retreats versus the ones that blow my mind with how much they cost?
Okay, so the last one was affordable. Um, what was the first one?
Tell us a little bit about what is involved in
Oh,
retreat.
involved in retreats. So there are definitely different varieties of retreats. So there are virtual ones, both virtual and in person can be set up in where you can have a specific project that you're working on. Like the person doing the retreat gives you a project, gives you like a pattern to be a part of it, and you're all working on the same thing. Or you can have a choose your own adventure kind of retreat, virtual and face to face, where you're bringing, whips and things that you want to work on. There are some that are hybrid, a combination of both. You'll have one project that the person is going to teach you, and then you could bring other things to work on at your own leisure. So depending on what you're looking to do, there's definitely a retreat out there for you in a style. For the face-to-face retreats, there's also different setups. Some of them are done in hotels, so you can get your own hotel room. and then come down to like the conference center, and you're set up in a bigger room, and there's plenty of space for design walls, all that kind of stuff. Some of them are done in houses, like little retreat centers where you're kind of like bunking up with a bunch of people. Like you might have 3 or 4 people in the same room. Some of them might only be 2 or 3, but then you're sharing, a meal in that kind of setup. So you can also decide what kind you want for that too. Like if you want to be able to get away, if you're
Yeah.
kind of introverted like I am, and you want time to recharge and in your own room, in your own space, I think those ones are nice.
Yeah.
And if you're looking to just, hang out and have a fun time and meet, folks, and you're comfortable being in a room and sharing a bedroom, those ones are a lot of fun too, because you're sharing meals together, and so having even more time to kind of like build that community. So yeah, those are the different kinds. I think everyone, if they have the opportunity, should go to a retreat. The sharing of ideas, the number of patterns that I've learned, the number of projects that I never would have thought of, the number of tips and tricks that I've learned from both new quilters and old, like, and I don't mean age old, but like have been doing it for a long time, um, is invaluable. You learn so much, and it's kind of nice to spend a lot of time with people who get it. Not everybody in my, none of the people in my family until just recently, didn't want to hear me droning on about what my latest project was, or what my latest pattern that I was writing was, or anything. So being around like your people is kind of fun and really nice. And you can get that in the virtual or face to face, depending on where you are. I know it's hard, not everybody can travel the way other people can. I was very much East Coast traveling to face to face retreats, so it can be difficult. And you
Okay.
do have to look for the less expensive ones, because it's not easy finding ones that are in
Oh, it's not.
face to face ones. It's not easy finding ones that are in your like in your budget, in a regular person's budget.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
can be hard.
What do you like most about going to a retreat?
I like that the learning from everybody, being able to see the different ways, because there's no matter what, like quilt police or anybody, or like your grouchy mom might say, there's no one right way to do anything, any of the things that we're doing. There's no one right way. It's just finding the right way that works for you. And that right way may change over time, because you might see somebody else doing it in a little different way, and it completely blows your mind. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is the way I'm going to do it now forever. Some of the things that I do in my quilting, I kind of figured out on my own, but then I would say the equal part is stuff I've learned from other people, that how they do it spoke to me. And so being able to see that face to face or in a virtual retreat, I think is the biggest benefit for retreats for me.
Is there anything you don't like about a retreat?
Uh well, some you can definitely find yourself in ones where there are like folks that are gatekeeping. They have very specific ideas on how and what type of fabric you should be using. And again, I'm the start with what you have. If where you are, you're getting your fabric from Walmart because that's what you have, then that's what you have, and what you're making is still just as gorgeous and just as valid as anybody else's thing that they're making. So you can sometimes find people that aren't that fun to hang out with. And if you're stuck with them in a room at a retreat, oh, that can get hard. That can definitely get hard.
Okay, let me see. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us that you think that we would find interesting?
Oh gosh. That kind of comes back to I'm my own worst critic. Yeah, I think for me, if I can just leave people with, don't be afraid, like go into all of the projects and everything with a childlike wonder about it, and don't be your own worst critic. Try not to be your own worst critic. Try to give everything a go. I think it's so important for everybody to try that new thing. You may not like FPP like I like FPP, but if you've tried it, you have it in your toolkit. You can say you've tried it and it's not your thing. Cool. I don't think English paper piecing is really going to be my thing, but I'm trying it so I can say I've done it. I never want to say I didn't try the thing. And so I want people to feel confident enough to try all the things.
Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to take a break from the questions. I'm going to spotlight you, and I want you to share some of your projects with us. Tell us a little bit about them and why you chose that project. You know, whatever you want to divulge on while you're will be great. So let me spotlight you.
Cool.
Okay, go ahead.
Excellent. So we talked a little bit about the first quilt that I made that was a rag quilt out of fleece. And I have one of my, they're not truly adopted. They were all adults when my son met them, but they're good friends of my son's, and they recently had a baby. So I recently I pulled back out a fleece project, and I made a little baby rag quilt for the little nugget. And this is my most recent finish. So I thought I would share that. It's the like snipped and all fluffed and ragged. And I just did 10-inch squares, and I sewed down the middle to make them like half square triangles. And then just folded those over each other. So it's like kind of like quilt as you go, because it did the front and the back of the block at the same time. So there's no like batting in between this. Okay. So that's my latest, and I can't wait to give it to the little nugget. She's finally here. So I finished it.
Yummy.
I finished it the day before she was born, so it was perfect. But I haven't gotten to meet her yet, but that's okay. And then I was talking about the being able to do things at retreats. And I wanted to, this meant so much to me. I taught a block at a retreat, and we made it into a pillow, and it was in Ohio, and the Ohio state bug is a ladybug. So I made a pattern for a pillow, and we called her Millie. And then at the retreat, they built a bag for me using my pattern of the ladybug. And they all put in like their scraps and everything. So one of the retreat goers made the bag, but they put all their scraps so they could make this all of the panel, and there's pockets on the inside, and they presented it to me at the retreat. And that again, like the community that you build is incredible. So this was pretty cool. My pattern for the ladybug, but they made it into a bag, which was pretty awesome.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, they almost had me ugly crying. Very close.
I can imagine.
But on the channel, some of the things that we'll work on together, like we're working on, I've been doing these free patterns of the month. And so they're FPP, but they're free on my website. So like March was a 4-leaf clover and little rosebuds. This is my favorite one, is the butterfly. Love this guy. Or this way, depending on which way you want. Although I'm thinking about making a whole quilt of just this month, or May's. Yeah. And then just turning them all different ways so they're flying all over the place on the quilt. I love that.
But that would be lovely.
Yeah, in different colors. So fun. So much fun. But these are like free things we're doing. But then we're also doing each month Now, this is from Carol Doak. It's a book of stars, and she has 60 stars in it. I'm not doing 5 years worth of blocks, but we're doing some of them together on the channel. So doing a couple of her fabulous stars. That's been fun on the channel.
Who did you say that was?
Carol Doak. I actually have her book right here. It is her most recent edition is 60 fabulous stars, paper piece stars. A lot of people have the original, which was 50, and it was all, all 50 states. She added 10 more in the most recent update of the book to have the state parks. So the 10 additional are national state park blocks. But it's an incredible book. It's a lot of fun. And so we pick a new one. Well, on the channel, I'll just be flipping the pages, and then whoever I see first to say stop, that's the next block that we'll do for the month. So that's kind of fun. One of the challenges that I made for myself last year was to have my own mystery sew along. So I released a pattern, and I did it, a new piece of it over time, and then set it up on my website. So that was another fun thing to learn, how to set up timing of sending out new clues and everything. And we made a big old quilt from a pattern that I created of these cool blooms. So this, I'm hoping that to have this when I finish my long arm quilting class, I want to get this quilted up because I want to put it in the state fair, or the county fair this year, since it's my own pattern, which would be pretty cool. But also on the channel, I'll do things like I had a book where it was all about the oldest coverlet. So it's a British coverlet, and they call it a coverlet because there was no batting in between, or wadding is what they call it in England. And it was created in 1718, and they know how old it was because she put the date on it, but they don't know who. It had her initials, EH, but they don't know who actually created it. But it was all done in kind of like EPP applique kind of stuff. And I made a challenge to recreate all of those blocks that she did in that 80 different blocks, recreate them in FPP. So that's an ongoing thing that I'm doing on the channel. And then so I have if I can open this, this is the center medallion that she had done as an applique English paper piecing, and I made it into foundation paper piecing. The paper's still on the back because this is the center. I haven't put it all together yet, but
beautiful.
Yeah, tons of fun. But yeah, so those are the fun things that I'm working on the channel. And then I'm working to complete, actually, I think I have part of, pretty sure I have part of it's called Heart of the Lion. And I was doing that on my channel today.
Yeah, I saw that you were working on your lion.
Yeah, he's 50 by 50 inch by 50 inch. And so foundation paper piecing. And this is just one of the pieces to go. And I'm working to get him done. I have a special event that will happen as soon as I have him completed that I can't share. It's a secret. But once it's done and I get to do the event, then I will be posting it all over the place. Everybody will know it.
That's outstanding. Tell us about the little quilt pieces you got behind you.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, I did there was a bundle package called 12 minis in 12 months, and sweet potato quilts. Was it sweet potato quilts? I think it was sweet potato quilts. She did this one, traditional piece, And I entered it into the county fair and I actually got second place for a little wall hanging.
Awesome.
And I liked it so much, and folks really liked it, that I wanted to try it in foundation paper piecing. So this was one of the first patterns I ever transitioned from traditional piecing to FPP. And so we did this at a retreat last year in FPP.
It's beautiful.
So that to show that you can do it in two different techniques, and then you can just pick whichever one you want to work on. So yeah. Yeah.
It was nice to get to see some of your beautiful work.
Thank you. Fun to show it off.
Now we're going to have fun, a little fun, and we're going to do rapid fire. So I'm going to put you off guard here.
All right.
The first question I want to ask you is, tell us something surprising that we don't know about you.
Oh my gosh, I'm such an open book. Oh my gosh.
It could be a story from the past. It could be anything.
So I was an idiot as a child and snuck out of my parents' house at about 3 o'clock in the morning, went to my friend's house, knocking on what I thought was her bedroom window with me and two other friends. It was not her bedroom window. It was her parents' bedroom window. And her dad came out and chased us with a gun.
Wow.
There we go.
That's a story you don't hear every day. Okay. What is this does not have to relate to quilting. It can be anything. What is your guilty pleasure?
Oh, dark chocolate.
There we go. Okay. What tool do you wish you had invented yourself?
Oh, the microwave.
Okay.
I'd be so rich.
What 5 skills should a beginner quilter learn about to help them become better quilt makers?
Don't skimp like I did. Learn how to cut your fabric accurately. Practice a good 1/4 inch. Learn how to press without warping your fabric. I am an avid ironer, so learn how to press, not iron. Learn grace. Learn that you are getting better. You're not going to be perfect, so give yourself grace and learn to not be so hard on yourself. And learn not to be scared to share your projects and your finishes with your friends and family, because the joy of giving something you've made by yourself is an incredible gift to give to yourself.
Okay. Suggest 5 tools that a beginner quilter should start out with.
A pair of scissors.
And why?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So a decent, don't go crazy, because some of these scissors can cost like $80. Don't go nuts. But a good pair of scissors, a good quality pair of scissors. You can call them shears if you want to. A cutting mat, something to iron on. You can just get a Walmart iron. So get an iron, you're going to need it. And the sewing machine. And it doesn't have to be, I still have the second machine I got, which was a Singer Patchwork. It's not a high-end machine at all, and I still use her. I love her so much. So don't feel like, even though I ended up going down the Juki world, I started doing more things, and it wasn't just me doing it for me anymore. But I still pull out the Singer. She has like all the specialty stitches and all that sort of stuff. And it's still an investment. It was $200 when, that meant a lot to me. So she was still a good investment, but just a sewing machine you can work on.
What advice would you give concerning how to take care of quilts to make them last a long time?
Finish them. Definitely look at YouTube. There are some people that can teach you how to fold them really well. And a lot of a lot of it comes into how you're folding it, how you're storing it, to keep the stitches from popping and all that kind of stuff. So there are people out there who really know their stuff and will teach you how to fold quilts for storage. And then definitely pay attention to the fabrics you're using. I'm 100% on board with using different fabrics within the same quilt, but you have to understand how they're going to shrink if you're going to wash them. Like you can use flannel and cotton at the same time, but flannel shrinks at a different rate than cotton. So you might want to pre-wash everything. And I hate pre-washing, but you may need to pre-wash everything because of how different their shrink rates are. So pay attention to that.
Yeah. Okay. What advice would you give to a beginner quilter?
Yeah, again, start with where you are. Start with what you have. If you don't have a sewing machine, go to a thrift shop and just pick up one that has, you have to have power cord and all that kind of stuff, but just go to a thrift shop to make sure that you even want to do this. And then, if you have to use your kitchen scissors or your paper scissors, it's fine to start off with for you to understand if this is what you're going to enjoy. And then you can start building in and getting more bougie things, but you don't have to start off there.
Yeah. Okay. The only other thing is what advice would you give to any quilter of any level?
Don't listen to the naysayers. If they're not paying your bills, you don't need to worry about what they have to say about what you're doing.
That's great advice. Okay. So now I want you to tell us what days of the week you go live and when you usually drop your pre-records, if you do pre-records.
So I am going live most regularly. My work schedule, I've started a new job. My work schedule sometimes gets weird. So sometimes my Tuesday lives will be on Wednesday, but I try to post that if it's changing. But Tuesday nights, I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Frederick, Maryland. So I'm on the East Coast. Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern time, usually 6 to 8. And then every Sunday is Sunday brunch, which is 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Time. And my Tuesday, Wednesday used to be a pre-record, but more like a podcast type thing. But I've just kind of gotten into the routine of doing both of them live now. But I will throw in, like next Sunday, because I'm going to be in that class, I'll throw in a pre-record. I'm going to finish up a project and I'll record it and have that as my Sunday brunch instead of being live. But usually it's lives for me.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming to my interview, Shannon.
Yeah.
And it's good to get to know you. Now I know more about you than I did before, for definite, for sure. So thank you everyone for joining us on the premiere of this podcast. I hope everybody enjoyed themselves. And yeah, have a great week and we'll see you on the next one. Bye everyone.
Thanks everybody.
And thank you for coming, Shannon.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.